Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by John Boy Media. Got ourselves a little Arizona preview. Second year in a row we're playing this team. It's not the third, is it? It's second year in a row we're playing this team. Got Ed Smith of the Bleav Network coming on later, and then Danny King will be joining us for our fantasy draft giant factors and quick picks. I'm Bobby Skinner here with Justin Pennick. Justin, what's going on?
I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I'm getting bad feelings, but however, people are talking me off the ledge, and then people have been asking me questions on social media that has made me do some further research that we will share when we talk about the Cardinals. But I'm nervous. Like Bobby, things are going too well, too confident, too cocky. We are a cocky pod. We're a first place pod, but we're also a cocky pod. But things are going too well, and I know we said on Wednesday's show that, Washington, we're not afraid. We're not this, we're not that. I'm getting a little anxious. So excited. Three of the last four games are home. And the furthest we have to travel is Baltimore, Maryland, which is nice, but I'm nervous.
So I don't get nervous until the kickoff happens. For me, it's just, it doesn't matter who we're playing, how bad the Giants. It's just arrogance. And then when the kickoff starts, it's like, okay, I'm nervous now. We should kick it off with starting about Daniel Jones, though, right? Like, should we talk about our quarterback being back? He is back.
He's back in the New York groove.
He's going to play, right? I mean, it's
yeah.
He's taking snaps from Nick Gates, means he's going to play. I would be blown away if he doesn't play on Sunday, Justin.
If Colt McCoy has not gotten starting reps, now I don't know if I remember somebody specifically reporting on it. If Colt McCoy were getting starting reps, they would have reported on it. The beat reporters would.
Yeah, right. He's gonna play. He's gonna play. You know who else is gonna play? A
lot of people who
Josh Valchik.
Yeah.
Josh Valkich. Upstate Tuck. I know his real name, but he put Upstate Tuck, so I'm gonna leave it as Upstate Tuck. He's from the upstate New York, if you hadn't heard. Justin Gookins. And then John Daly's grandson, Ryan Daly. Justin, who are these peoples?
Who are these wonderful peoples? They went to patreon.com/Talking Giants for $2 a month. 1, 2, uno, dos. Not the same as pesos, though. I think you need to pay a little bit more. If you're paying in pesos, you need to pay a little bit more than 2. If you go to patreon.com/Talking Giants to hang out with us on Victory Sunday, so you don't have to wait until Victory Monday to hear what we have to say and celebrate with us. And also you get access to monthly shirt raffles and some behind-the-scenes content things. Bobby's been doing a fun daily conversation thread too, where you get to talk with the other patrons and you get to talk to Bobby. I know that he's been doing that. That's been pretty cool. I think that's a nice little perk. So patreon.com/Talking Giants.
Yeah, I almost forgot to do that. All right, so Daniel Jones is going to play. And, here's the bland sports takes. Probably not going to be running around the yard like crazy.
No.
Danny will come with weather later, but it's supposed to be bad weather. I'm very interested to see how Arizona plays Daniel Jones, because if you can remember last year, this was the game where Daniel Jones was sacked 8 times. But I credited 4 of those were his fault, where he had guys underneath, and he was just so focused downfield, he would not come underneath. And there was guys wide open, whether it was Saquon, Evan Ingram. And he was just so focused downfield, and he was taking sacks. Even on a screenplay, he took a sack. That being said, our offense is the exact opposite this year. So I'm really interested to see how Arizona, if they play him in a similar way, or if they are like, hey, we're going to, I don't know how they're going to play us, because there's one way they play, and then there's one way that's good to play against us. And those are opposites.
I don't think it's a hot take to say the Giants have become, or at least since week 9, they have been the hottest rushing offense in the National Football League. And I kind of did a breakdown by formation in terms of how their efficiency has gone and how their yards per carry has gone. So here's what I found. 11 personnel, which is your typical 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. They have 43 rushing attempts, 5.1 yards per carry. 12 personnel, which is the 2 tight end, 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, 50 attempts, 5.6 yards per attempt. 22 personnel. This isn't that good, but they also don't really run it a lot. 1 wide receiver, 2 tight ends, 2 running backs, 30 attempts, 1.7 yards per carry. So don't do that. And then 13,
that's a lot of goal line carries right there too.
That probably is true with the fullback. 2 running backs is meaning a fullback. But they also have been running a lot of 13 personnel, which this is the crazy package that Tim Coffey told us all summer. They're going to run 13 personnel. They're going to run 13 personnel. And we're like, Tim, you're crazy.
And they sucked at it to start.
They did stink at it to start. But, Bobby, 13 personnel is 1 wide receiver, 3 tight ends, 1 running back. They've had 20 attempts since week 9, 4.8 yards per carry. That is such a heavy formation. And the fact that they're getting 5 yards a pop when they've been running the ball. Well, I'm pretty sure also the 60-yard Wayne Gallman run was in 13 personnel. So
almost every play on Sunday was out of 13 personnel.
Yeah. So they've been good. They have been really good. They have been one of the hottest rushing offenses in the National Football League, and that doesn't include Daniel Jones. It's with the running backs.
For sure. Devon J. Campbell, we don't know if he's going to play. Isaiah Simmons, I talked about him in the interview a little bit. Simmons, man, he's been playing a little more, 30 to 50% the last few weeks. All in the season, he has 28% snaps. Think about these snaps on a guy who's playing a quarter of them, or these stats. 40 tackles, 32 of which are solo, 2 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss, and an interception. That's for someone who's playing a quarter of the snaps. He's a playmaker. Basically, he gets lost out there. He gets lost in coverage. He's like he doesn't know where to line up. He doesn't know where to be in coverage. He's taking a long time to get adjusted to the NFL. But when he's out there, he's actually putting together a little bit of production.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, and I talked about this during the pre-draft process, if you don't have a position, in college, you're going to have to find one in the NFL. So it's not like you're talking about a guy who was solely an interior linebacker, so he knows how to play the interior linebacker spot, because they didn't work him out at safety, Bobby. If NFL teams wanted him to work out at safety at the combine, or if they wanted him to be a safety, they would have asked him to work out at safety at the combine. They only asked him to work out as linebacker. Jabril Peppers worked out at both linebacker and safety because they weren't sure what position he was going to play. So if you don't have a set position in college and you can't learn a position, it's not surprising that he's taken a little while. Doesn't mean that I think he's going to be a good player, because that versatile skill set is very valuable, and you're seeing the production being produced in a short-term basis. Yeah,
we always knew he was going to be a linebacker. In fact, I think he would fit perfectly in that Jabril Peppers role. Against a team like Seattle, which I guess they play twice a year, not as much deep safety as Peppers played, but like that. That money backer, gapless in the run game, man coverage in zone and pass coverages, and covering the flats in zone. It'd be interesting to see what he does. I hope Andrew Thomas pancakes him though. That would be fun to watch.
That would be fun. Yeah.
Buda Baker flies. I mean, we know Patrick Peterson's really good. We know Buda Baker flies around. He's a beast. I mean, he's their leading tackler. Sacks, interceptions, tackles for a lot. He does everything. Man, I really think on offense, within the constructs of the way the offense is built, really comes down to how Jones looks. Like, is he getting the ball out quickly, and are they giving us the underneath stuff? And if they're not, are we able to get those big plays?
Yeah, I think getting rid of the ball needs to be a priority for Daniel Jones. I'm at the point where it doesn't matter what the team is. It's shown that Daniel Jones cannot be a quarterback that can just hold on to the ball, even when he's breaking containment and when he's running to the outside. He had a nice few plays in that Dallas game, where that's the game that sticks out the most of his improvisation skills. But Daniel Jones is just a much better quarterback when he can read the defense before the snap, find out where he's going to go with the ball, make whatever adjustments he needs to make at the line of scrimmage. And just because you're getting rid of the ball quick doesn't mean you're not throwing it down the field. We've seen Daniel Jones have his quickest time before the throw games, while also having his highest air yards per attempt games as well. So those two things aren't separate. They're not independent from each other. So go Daniel Jones. Explosive plays, they need to happen in the pass game. They need to happen in the run game. If you don't get as same thing as it's been all year, Bobby, if the offense doesn't produce explosive plays, very unlikely they're going to win.
Right. Marcus Golden, that's a fun storyline. Don't need to say much about him. Let's talk about their offense a little bit before we go to the interview. They were balling. They started out hot. Now they've lost. Their team has lost 3 games in a row. I split the raw stats for Kyler of the first 9 games compared to the last 3 games. I mean, he has dropped significantly in every single portion. And completion percentage, and I'll go from the first 9 to the last 3, 68% to down to 63%. Yards per game, 261 to 213. Yards per attempt, 7.5 to 5.5.
Whoa.
Touchdown and interception, 17.8 to 5.2. So that's similar, if actually maybe a little bit better. This is where it's big, Justin, because you can have like a couple games bad in the passing, but a QB who runs like him should be kind of consistent, or at least close, or it makes sense. Like he has a big run this week, doesn't the other week. The first 9 games, he was basically averaging 10 carries a game, 9.7 for 79 yards per game.
Yeah,
unreal. 8.1 yards per carry. I mean, me and you were talking about it, not as far as like facing the Giants, because there's so much hype around the Cardinals and Kyler. I was like, honestly, he's more dangerous with his feet than his legs than he is passing. Like what he's doing in the passing game really isn't anything crazy. He's getting some deep shots here and there, but really he's just relying on Hopkins. So 9.7 carries and 79 yards a game. To the last 3 weeks, he has 15 carries for 61 yards, which is 5 carries for 20. His injury, he has not been a runner. He has not been a runner. And honestly, that is the biggest reason they've lost 3 games in a row to me.
Wasn't his injury an upper body injury?
Yeah, shoulder.
I guess you don't want to take hits. That's probably.
I mean, I'm not saying that's exactly why, but since that happened, this is when this has happened. So I'm kind of, I'm doing an outsider looking in. Like, O-line's good. It's Shane Lemieux the reason that's fixing it. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, even their season air yards is in terms of comparing Jones to Murray. Murray's air yards per attempt numbers are only about a yard greater than Jones, and that's not that much considering just how conservative Jones has been.
Top 2 deep passers in the league.
Yeah, well, they take their shots when they're available, and I would like to think that I'm more confident in the Giants' defense of not allowing the deep play versus the Cardinals, and really, I think that's more of a testament to how good the Giants have been in not allowing the deep play versus my respect for the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals have a decent defense. But Bobby, in terms of their rushing offense, I was afraid of this game, ignorant on me for not really checking the numbers before I tweeted this, but I was afraid of this game because I remember how the Giants got their ass kicked against San Francisco. And there are very few teams in the National Football League that run like an outside zone scheme. Stefanski's one, Shanahan's another that have, and you would think that Kingsbury's another guy that has such a very creative scheme. But that was last year. Stefanski had a very creative scheme last year where he's running outside zone plays. The creativity in the run game was really fun to see. You talked about that over and over again last year. But hey, where is this from Shermer? Where is this from Hal Hunter and stuff like that? So, but this year, 68% of the Cardinals' run plays are going up the middle and guard. That is above average. And only 18% are going outside the tackles. Last year, Bobby, 30% of their running plays were outside the tackles. 30%. So that's, it's almost a 50% difference right there in terms of how the tendencies of where they're running the ball.
Yeah, I'm right there with you where it's like, Monday morning, Tuesday, you're thinking about the Cardinals matchup. You're like, man, they like to get out on the edges. And then you say, like, you look at those numbers, you look at what they've been doing. Yeah. They're not doing that.
Also, I'm sorry, one more thing. They're running a lot of 12 personnel. Like Kingsbury, we like to think him as they're spreading
some stuff from Baltimore.
That's a good thought. They're spreading the field. They're not, at least on their rushing plays, they're running a lot of 12 personnel.
They are copying some stuff with Baltimore with Max Williams and Dan Arnold as their tight ends. This was always the game on the schedule for the Giants where it's like, when could they steal? This was always the one because I think Bradbury can handle Hopkins, who, Hopkins is, he was limited in practice with neck and back. I won't finish that song.
I heard that song today. I did. I really. My neck.
No, that's not.
Copyright.
You can handle Bradbury on there. Yeah, copyright. That's the reason why. Look at Bradbury versus Hopkins last year. Did good. So that I've always worried about that. And it's like, okay, then we can we can contain Kyler in the run game, which I think we will, like I feel pretty confident about like playing this team. I always thought this, especially with Chandler Jones out. Here's something I have a scoop or a hunch, Justin.
Okay.
Because I was saving this for this episode. I was going to say Xavier McKinney is going to play a lot, and he's going to be used as a spy on Kyler. I'm pretty confident McKinney is going to not really play much. He's going to play the same role he has the last couple weeks. You want to know why?
Well, take Crowder.
You want to know why? How I know that?
Why?
Because on his Instagram story said, "My whole life I've been having to prove him wrong. Guess I got to do it again," which basically means they're not playing him.
Tough. I don't like that sign though. Like, you're not getting what you want, so you go to your Instagram stories. Typically, I don't like that.
He's a kid. He's a kid. I at 28 have the desire to do that, and I'm a nobody.
All right, I'm a hypocrite.
If somebody crosses me, I want to put something subliminal in my Instagram stories. I don't do it anymore, but I tell myself, like, Bobby, literally nobody cares, but I still have the urge.
I am a hypocrite, by the way, because I literally posted on my Instagram story today my displeasure of Joe Judge wearing a Don Bosco Prep sweatshirt when I work at St. Peter's Prep, and St. Peter's Prep is my alma mater. So I'm already a hypocrite. You don't know St. Peter's Prep.
You're God.
Just best Jesuit school in the state of New Jersey. It's because it's the only Jesuit school in the state of New Jersey.
Anything else before we kick it to the interview?
No. Did you ask in the interview why DeAndre Hopkins only catches footballs on the left side of the football field?
I did, and he's like, "We don't know." He's like, I'm giving it away. He's like, "It's frustrating. We have no clue why." Ed Smith
funny.
of the Bleav Cardinals network. He does radio, so sometimes we get these guys on, these former players, and they suck. Orlando Scandrick, how you doing? And then you get like a guy like Fred Smoot, who I like that, but some people didn't like that because it was more of just like trash talking and less like actual like good information. Ed does a good job of that. So here is Ed Smith of the Bleav Podcast Network. All right, we now welcome in who does Arizona radio, part of the Bleav in Arizona podcast, former NFL veteran. I know he did lose his last 2 games to the Giants, so he can't brag too much on us. Ed Smith, what's going on, Ed?
Hey, Bob, Bobby, good to be with you, man. Looking forward to chopping this one up. I think we talked about it right before we jumped in. Who would have thought that this would be one of those hot games a few weeks ago?
Oh yeah, I mean, we just had a game next week, flex to Sunday Night Football, and it's we haven't been in this territory in some time. I know Arizona has been, it's Arizona was pretty good with Carson Palmer not too long ago, so I guess it's been a little better for you guys over there.
Yeah, we're dealing with a little bit of a skid over here right now, with that 5-2 start. Everybody got all hyped up and on the train, and now there's a whole bunch of people jumping off of it after the last 5. A little bit of a, like I said, a little skid, but we're going to try to pull out of it this week up against that tough opponent, which is the Giants, though.
Yeah, and I'll start with that. The splits for the last 3 games compared to the rest of the season. For Kyler, I mean, it's in every, he's averaging 2 yards less per attempt. The rushing is nowhere near what it was. And, I thought a big part of what Arizona was doing early was like, hey, I don't think Kyler's really even letting it up. He's just running so much and doing it so well and effectively. I know he's been banged up. I mean, has it been anything noticeable that's different or teams catching up to it or what?
Well, Bobby, I'm wondering a little bit how healthy that shoulder is, because the last few games have really been he's been really kind of muted. It's almost like they're trying to protect him a little bit. Hasn't been as dynamic in the running game. And, we don't want our quarterbacks out there necessarily running all over the field, but that is such an important part of his game. So when he loses that or doesn't utilize it, I should say, whether it's him or the coaching staff and the game plan, it just kind of brings him back to earth a little bit, being of a smaller stature, he's a hard time, seeing through the trees sometimes. So if you can get pressure up the middle, it forces him even more into, being just an average quarterback. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on. In my opinion, in order for us to get back on track, it's going to rely a whole lot on his legs and whether he's able to get out there and create some things, and sometimes it's just the threat of him running is enough to keep defensive honest. We haven't had that in the last few weeks, and you can tell it's teams are taking advantage of us right now.
And DeAndre Hopkins, obviously that is Kyler's number one option. He'd be everybody's number one option in the NFL. We have noticed, and my co-host, he made sure I wanted to ask this. He looks at the next gen stats, and he's like, "Why is every thing to be an out route on the left side of the football field?" Now a lot of people will hate on a guy like Michael Thomas because of the routes he runs, but it's like, okay, but he puts up more production than anybody in the NFL. Is that something where it's like, hey, it's working, we're going to continue doing it, or in Arizona is like, hey, like we need to open it up a little more?
That has been one of my biggest pet peeves from day one, especially when you get a DeAndre Hopkins. You think we're going to take advantage of his vertical stretch, and sometimes he doesn't even have to be the target. If you can open the lid on the defense, that'll create some space and everything in the middle of the field. We have been notorious. Our passing game has been so horizontal, bubble screens, 2-yard outs, and it makes it so easy for defenses to cover us. And it's evident in our lack of yak as well. When guys are catching the ball on the sideline, it's so easy to either force them out or, you gang tackle them. And I'm not sure whether it's a game plan issue or just something that Kyler's comfortable with, but man, we've got to figure out a way to open up the back end of the passing game and take advantage of some of the stuff over the middle of the field. That has been one of those things that has been painful to watch. And here's the crazy part, Bobby, if you guys are noticing it, meaning media and everybody who's talking about it, I know the coaching staffs are who are preparing for us each week. And like I said, it just makes it that much easier to kind of bottle us up and contain DeAndre if that's our plan of attack.
Right. And in the run game. Now, I remember prepping for last year, and I was pretty amazed by Cliff Kingsbury, not really his passing concepts, but the different stuff he did in the run game against the Giants. They got outside on the edge, which is, I think it's the hardest thing to do in the NFL is to run on the outside edges, and the best coordinators can do it. Now, I could look at running stats and draw conclusions. How has the running game looked? Has it been kind of basic? Has they been getting out on the edges, or has it been struggling?
That's been another big disappointment for me, primarily because we take about 95% of our snaps out of shotgun. It eliminates play action for one, but it also, for me, it doesn't suit Kenyon Drake. I think he's more of a downhill guy. We should be under center more, allowing him to stretch and get out to the outer edges or pick a hole in some of these power runs, maybe with a lead block, tight end, or somebody leading him through. This lead option for me has always been, it's great when Kyler's running, but because he's not running as much now and you don't really have to defend that portion of it, you zero in on the running back. And like I said, there's no momentum generated, nothing. And I think what teams are starting to do is, obviously last year was a lot of first time seeing different things. And now there's so much film on us, and you're starting to notice that teams are really stopping that particular brand of running. And we have not made any adjustments, and that until we do that and take some pressure off of Kyler, as long as that running game stays stagnant, no creativity, everything's a read option, it's just for me it's just been very disappointing. And I hope at some point, this will be a lesson for Kingsbury. It's going to be time to reopen that playbook and start, doing some different X's and O's, because he's going to have to learn. In college, you can get away with that stuff a lot of times, running the same stuff over and over, because most times you have just more talent than the other team. In the NFL, talent is matched, and now it's all about scheme. And I haven't seen him make those adjustments thus far in his game planning.
Yeah, I mean, if that's one thing, the biggest difference from this coaching staff for the Giants to last year is, our defensive coordinator last year, well, you guys know him, James Betcher was in Arizona, and I thought he did a good job in Arizona. I think he just copied and pasted Todd Bowles, if I'm being completely honest. But everyone talked about how complex his defense was, that it was so complex to run that he didn't run it. I was like, well, what do we bring him in here for? Yeah. Well, Patrick Graham this year, really, I mean, it's week to week we see something different out of him. Switching to your side on the defense, I'll just add, this simple one. Devon J. Campbell, do you think he's going to play this week? I know he's on the injury report.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm still looking at some of the updates and everything. That'll be interesting, to see if he's in the lineup. But yeah, I haven't caught up on the injury reports and everything thus far. But like I said, we're hoping he's available, because that would definitely add a little something to our punch, and we definitely need that right now, because teams are starting to run on us. We're not. The one thing with Vance Joseph, I thought we would be a little more dynamic in some of our plans of attack, and I'm seeing what you guys are doing, and that's exactly what we should be doing. We've been a little vanilla as of late. We've broken out some different things. I remember a few weeks ago we kind of twisted Russell Wilson up a little bit, just like you guys did this past week. But we were throwing some different things at him in the second half of our game when they came out here, and I thought, wow, if they stay on that trend, this could be, you know, the time we turn the corner. But they kind of reverted back to vanilla. And, you know, in the NFL, if you're going to do the same thing and teams get a chance to see it and know what you're bringing, man, it just makes it so much more difficult. And that's kind of been where we're at the last couple of weeks. So,
right. Now, we know about the playmakers, Budda Baker, Patrick. Like, we know the playmakers on the Cardinals. Isaiah Simmons, Giants fans know a lot about him because, you know, the debate was, you know, left tackle or Isaiah Simmons. Obviously, they went left tackle. The storylines to start the year, he was basically not playing at all. He's been playing a little more lately. But I was even looking at the raw numbers for the percent of snaps he's at. I was like, man, these are like really good numbers for the amount of snaps he's playing. Have they, like, what has been the story on him? Has it been they don't, like, are afraid to use him? Or, like, I don't get it because I see those numbers and I'm like, man, like, they've got to figure out a way to play this guy. I think, like, that's what a coaching staff is for, is to figure out how to use a guy like this.
It's been so confusing, Bobby. I think the biggest thing, and this is just my opinion, I don't think he's caught up with the speed of the game yet. And because with that talent, when you see what he does, when he feels like he's in the right spot at the right time, or you can always tell sometimes when he's like comfortable out there, man, he's a beast. And then you can use him in so many different ways. If he's lined up at you know, the safety position, you can put him in the middle of the field as a linebacker. You can bring him off the edge. You know, you can line him up against any tight end in the league, and he's, you know, one of them dudes that can almost lock those guys down. But what I've seen is there's either a lack of confidence in what they're seeing at practice, and definitely on the film when he's out there on Sundays. When he's not looking good, he's really not looking good. And that's one of those things where I just think without the offseason that most rookies are afforded, his growth has been stunted. And there's a lot of trickery with him because he's not a dude you just line up in one spot. He's a dude that's going to have so many different responsibilities once he gets it. And, like, you know, you got a few guys around the league, you know, some defensive guys on the line. And like you said, you guys drafted on the offensive line. That's one position to learn. I think with him, he's got so much swimming in his head. And you can tell there's been a few times when he's been out there, it's almost like he's like a deer in headlights, just trying to figure it out. And if you're out there thinking on the field, it's so easy to take advantage of that young, I don't care how much talent you have, that young, you know, guy out there. And I just think, Bobby, they're just still trying to figure it out. The number of snaps that he gets per game are confusing to me. You know, you're talking about 16, 17 snaps. He's been as low as 11 or 12 snaps in the game. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? I mean, I was a backup tight end in the league, and I played, you know, more than that. So this is something we're really going to have to figure out because there's too much talent in him to, at this point in the season, to still be kind of nurturing it along.
Yeah, you think they'd figure out you're talking about responsibilities, almost like, you know, you guys know with you know, like that money back role. If, like, hey, you got no gap responsibility in the run game, make plays, and coverage will put you in man coverage. It's been interesting from the outside looking in because it's like, you know, like I said, Isaiah Simmons is somebody that Giants Nation talked about a ton, and to go from, you know, a lot of people saying you can't pass on this guy to he's just not even playing is a weird jump. Another guy we're familiar with, and I'll finish off on this. How you guys treating our friend Marcus Golden, man? He was a fan favorite. We miss him over here.
Man, we love him out here. You know, great addition. And I'm sure he is ready for this. He's going to be one of those dudes that's ready for this game. I've been in that position before playing a former team. And, you know, guys will, like, try to play it off like it's no big deal. It's just another game. But I'm sure he's looking to light this one up. And, you know, everybody, you know, there's all kinds of situations why guys leave teams or organizations, you know, let a guy go. But it's like running into that ex-girlfriend at the club. You know, you want to make sure you have something pretty on your arm to show her, you know, hey, I'm doing all right for myself. And I'm sure he's going to be ready to show out if he can. And I'm hoping he does to help us get a victory, because we definitely need one at this point, Bobby.
Marcus is a pro's pro, but we knew from people telling us, like, he was not happy with the way the Giants just weren't using him.
Yeah.
Especially coming off of a 10-sack year. And, I remember watching that first game with him against Miami. He had one sack, and then they called, like a defensive holding or something that ended up taking off. So I thought he was our best pass rusher while he was here. So glad to hear he's doing well. Yeah. Ed, where can people find you?
Hey, first off, appreciate you having me on, Bobby. Love what you guys are doing. They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Ed Smith Speaks. I also, like I said, the Bleav Network. We do Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals, and that's BLEAV. And I also do a radio show out here every Saturday on KDUS 1060 AM. It's called the Easy Sports Talk Show. So they can find us online, or they can actually jump on Facebook as well, the Easy Sports Talk Show. We broadcast it live there as well. And if people are interested, I also just kind of had a second release of my book, Easy Does It, The Journey of a Lifetime. You can go to edsmithspeaks.com. There's a book tab on there. And if you order the book on that tab, I actually sign everyone personally and send them out directly. So I appreciate you having me on, man. And one of these days, I want to have you guys on the Easy Sports Talk Show out here on a Saturday too.
Sounds good, Ed. edsmithspeaks.com. I'll definitely check that out and grab myself a copy. If you're listening, go do it yourself. Ed, thanks again.
Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate it, man.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Ed, for coming on. Make sure to go follow Ed Smith Speaks. Go to edsmithspeaks.com and get his book. I actually am going to get it. I probably won't read it just because I'm an idiot. I don't really read well, but I want to buy the book. But you guys should read it and tell me what happens. How about that? How about we do that, people? Anyways, we now welcome on to the program Danny King for weather and trivia. What's going on, Danny?
Nothing much. Today I now have a weather map with me. If you're on the YouTube version, we got weather map here now. So now let me get this straight. Here we go. So we're in the Northeast. We're up here today. Arizona's back behind me.
What's it like in the Middle East?
It's gonna be. Well, we don't got satellites there for many different reasons. But today we got. People said it was supposed to rain, but apparently the rain's gonna move out early in the morning. So it's gonna be mostly cloudy. No rain, seems like, in the forecast for this game, at least according to my sources in my weather map, even though it does say rain and thunderstorms right there. But so it's going to be mostly cloudy, apparently, according to my weather sources. And people are coming for my job now on Twitter. I just noticed that recently.
This is good. I like this. We need to get you like a Maid of the Mist costume, like
it gets
Jim
better.
Carrey.
Do you want me to switch it up? What I'm going to have my background for the rest of the show be?
Do it.
Wait, Cam Fleming. He's.
I felt bad about that. I'm so glad. I was worried you guys were gonna post that. It's like Cam Fleming must just hate us.
Yeah, it's gonna be my background for the rest of the show. How you doing, Cam Fleming?
How come you didn't put the waist? I made a whole I put the wasted thing.
Damn it! I forgot about that.
The GTA.
I forgot about that one. I was gonna post that on Twitter on Sunday when Cam Fleming inevitably makes his mistake. That's gonna be my tweet against Cam Fleming.
If he does, you have my permission to post it. I don't want to post it. You have my permission.
In game, that's fine. Like a Tuesday morning after a win, that's just brutal. All right, Danny, give us some topical trivia.
Topical trivia. Who holds the most receiving touchdowns in a game against the Arizona Cardinals?
For the Giants?
For the Giants. It's going to be limited because they don't play very often usually.
What's the time era? Like what decade?
We are in the 80s.
Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker.
Damn, I was going to say Stephen Baker. I'll go Mark Bavaro.
No, none of those two. The answer actually is
McConkey's towel.
No, Ernest Gray. I could be saying it says Gray, or it could be Gary. Ernest Gray. That's what I'm going with right now. Week 1 of the 1980 season, he had 9 catches for 174 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Wow.
My man, Ernest.
Oh,
Gray.
you even went 81, so it wasn't even the good Giants years.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got to build ourselves up to those good years, but that's what we're happening now. We sucked from 2011 on, except 2016, but that was our defense, and now we're good again.
I think the Cardinals. Think the Cardinals were they in St. No,
I think they were St. Louis still.
Yeah.
And that's my ESPN going like, you guys see Kyrie Irving got fined $25,000? Wild.
We're not speaking to the media, right?
Yeah.
He's gonna get fined a lot this year if he keeps it up. All right, that's trivia. Time for the fantasy draft. Danny, well, first of all, I made work last week. I had 45 points. Danny, you had 31.8 points. Justin, you had 25 something. I didn't write down the decimal for me and you, Justin. Justin, you are still in first place with 442 points, but Danny is 20 points back on you. He gained some ground on you. You took the lead over him. Danny is working his way back, and I am proudly under the 100-point margin for the first time in a few weeks. I am at 85 points back. I am very proud of that.
Look at that money game. He's coming back. He's like the Undertaker as well. He's rising from the dead.
Did I not say I need to make up 20 points a week for the rest of the season? Well, I made up 20 points this week.
Yeah, hey. I mean, who thought the Giants would be in the middle of a division race? Here we are today.
Exactly. All right. So what this is, a way to highlight some of the matchups from each game. We will do all right. Now your background is just getting distracting, Danny. What we do is we do a fantasy draft of the Giants and their opponent to highlight the matchups, and we keep score. This week, Danny will be picking first. Justin will be picking second. I'll be picking last, and then it'll snake. We go 4 rounds. Danny, who is your pick 1 in the Giants-Cardinals fantasy draft?
My pick 1 this week will be good old reliable Sterling Shepard. Now, because because I mean, Daniel Jones, the whole how healthy will he be? Will he really be able to run the ball? Who knows if he will be in those runs? He will be, but like, who knows how crazy it will be this week? Sterling Shepard, always reliable, will always get you points. And I don't trust Darius Slayton because what has he proven us these past few weeks? Nothing. He's done nothing. I love Darius Slayton, but he's done nothing to contribute to this football team. So give me Darius Slayton this week, please.
I think going Giants here was kind
of Sterling
ballsy.
Shepard. I said Darius Slayton by accident. Sterling Shepard.
Going Giants here is kind of ballsy to me.
Why is it ballsy to you, good sir?
Justin, why don't you?
I think it's the wrong. I think you have to pick Giant first, but it is the clear wrong Giant pick.
Are you saying Wayne Gallman?
Yes.
He doesn't get catches or touchdowns.
Well, what Wayne Gallman doesn't get catches or touchdowns? He scored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touchdowns in his last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games.
How many in his last one game?
Well, he had 13.5 fantasy points because he had 130
how mad it was
yards.
I didn't get Dion Lewis, and then Alfred Morris was like the leading scorer last week. I freaking love it.
That's the problem with Wayne Gallman. He makes those big runs, and then Alfred Morris comes in and finishes it off and gets the points.
No. That's just as of last week. Wayne Gallman has not really been an ultra explosive play, 20-plus yard running back. He has been the goal line guy where, Jones is kind of just throwing him down the field. Last week was so weird because Jones wasn't in the game. But when, Jones is throwing the ball down the field and then Gallman's punching it in inside the 5-yard line, those are free fantasy points. So Danny King, I think you're crazy. Thank you for letting Wayne Gallman just fall to me. If I had a big board and I was a nerd like Bobby and I made a big board every week, Wayne Gallman would be number 1, 2, and 3 for me.
Calling me a nerd? Yeah. I wasn't the one who was triggered by people not liking analytics today, calling me a nerd. Here's something a nerd wouldn't do. You pick the best wide receiver in the NFL. I don't care if it's James Bradbury covering him. DeAndre Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the NFL. You pick him. You pick him in this matchup. It's not like we have like a number 1 fantasy option every week. It's different for the Giants every week. I'm going DeAndre Hopkins with my first pick. I get the James Bradbury effect. I'm going DeAndre Hopkins. And with my second bet, I'm almost thinking about hedging it. I'm really thinking about hedging it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do this because I'll be happy with who will become around. There'll be 3 guys I'll be happy with when it comes back around. I'm going to go Christian Kirk. He is their big play guy for the Cardinals. He'll be lined up on cornerback too. I know Yidim's been playing better, but if there's going to be some chances taken against Kyler, that will be the guy that's left there. And Christian Kirk, he's their leading touchdown getter. I mean, he has 6 touchdowns on the year. He has more touchdowns than DeAndre Hopkins. He's only got 500 yards on the year, but he is a touchdown getter. So I'm going Christian Kirk. I'm getting both Cardinals receivers with my first 2 picks.
That's what happens when you are double covering DeAndre Hopkins in the red zone. You have other guys come open, but Graham has also been pretty smart with almost letting Bradbury cover his own guy on an island and shadowing cornerback 2s and his slot corners with safeties over the top. The
problem is, though, if Hopkins isn't on the left side of the field, you don't get points, apparently.
But he will be on the left side of the field.
He is literally only on the left side of the field. My second pick is going to be Evan Ingram. He's going to be Evan Ingram. He's had some really good receiving days as of late. Fortunately, in fantasy football, if a ball goes off your hands and results in an interception, you don't lose fantasy points. He did have a fumble a couple weeks ago, but he had the fumble in the midst of his best receiving day of his career yards wise. And with Jones, it seems like they have a little bit of a good connection when he's not being used as a tight end with his hand on the ground, or when he's being used over the middle of the field. When he's being used on the sideline, he's really good. Give me Evan Ingram.
For some reason, I said I knew this person would come around. I forgot there's 4 picks between my next one. For some reason, I was thinking there's 2. Evan Ingram could be one of those games where Evan Ingram goes off.
I agree with that.
Taking advantage of Isaiah Simmons, inexperience. Devondre Campbell's out, if he's out. They don't really have anybody that's going to get there with Chandler Jones gone. And the O-line's performing. Ingram, this could be a huge game for Ingram. I wouldn't be surprised if he has the most points this week.
I respect it. All right, so now with my second pick, I've been debating because Golden Tate, he was involved in the offense when Jones in that Bengals game before he went down. Then he's more involved, last week. But then I just don't know how involved he'll be again. Like, was that just a 1 week thing with Jones? Was he just feeling him that week? Who knows? So this week, because he's on the injury report with whatever, I forgot what off the top of my head, if it might have been the neck back, I will take Chase Edmonds. I will be taking Chase Edmonds.
Oh,
right
wow.
Here.
You're going. Every time I say, like, I can't believe Danny picked this guy, he goes off. So I'm not going to say anything.
Like, I'm really risking it all right now. Like, I need him to have a good game. And then with my next pick, this is where I'm struggling again. I honestly don't know because Larry Fitzgerald coming back, but he was on COVID and he had a pretty bad case of it. He lost 4 pounds. He even rewrote his will. You don't do that in your spare time usually.
Larry Fitzgerald looking for headlines. What's new?
Yeah. But so with my next pick, I'm gonna take old reliable here. I'm gonna take, no, screw it. Darius Slayton. He gets a touchdown this week.
Oh, okay. I like that pick.
Way to just hype up. Way to just give a whole Larry Fitzgerald speech. I think Bobby was really happy right now. Give a whole
Larry's
hype.
barely going to play.
It's true. He's not good. He's not very good. He's
Larry?
old.
Oh, Larry, yeah.
No. I bet here. You guys want to bet on something? I bet you Pro Bowl week, Larry Fitzgerald announces he's coming back. It'll happen Pro Bowl week every year. When there's like, oh, we need some news. Larry. All of a sudden, Larry's announced he's coming back.
Good old Larry.
Glory Hog Larry.
Oh. Love those glory hogs.
That pisses people off so much when
every
I
week.
Make fun of Larry Fitzgerald. Like, I was like, one time I was like, this guy's so selfish. He stayed on one team so he can say they stayed on one team instead of winning. Guy's not a winner. People are like, that makes no sense at all. But it's funny to me. Justin,
who's picking? Who's picking? Kenyon Drake wasn't picked yet.
You're gonna pick Drake?
I have to do it.
That's risky right there. If he doesn't,
it's not risky. It's the safest pick of the entire.
If he doesn't play,
you took Chase Edmonds over Kenyon Drake.
If he doesn't play, he's screwed, and I'm coming back.
He's played since Miami week 9, and he's been questionable every week. So there's no reason why he shouldn't play.
Yeah, I'm gonna regret saying this because this means this guy's gonna get 25 points. But I can't believe you took Edmonds over Drake.
But here's why. They can use Edmonds as like a passing guy, and Kyler Murray can swing it out to him, and Edmonds can take it up the field. That's points right there.
That's true. But I mean, I was close to taking Drake with my second pick.
But like the Giants have been really shutting down running backs. I mean, Drake is a good running back. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, Giants could easily slow him down.
Well, honestly, what the Giants have been doing in the run game is they've actually been allowing running backs to get like decent yards per carry. But teams are just they know not to run the ball against the Giants. So they're emphasizing throwing the ball. So in a way, I would rather teams emphasize running the ball to think that they can run the ball against the Giants. But it also does help that the Giants have been up by double-digit points in the second half of games. So then teams have to throw the ball as well. So running backs have been somewhat efficient against the Giants defense, but that's not a bad thing. It's not resulting in bad play.
Christopher Thompson's saying in the chat, and I believe him, no way that Larry Fitzgerald lost 9 pounds.
I thought he said 4. Did he say 9?
Did he say lost 9?
Yeah. I know.
He updated his will.
A UFC fighter lost 11 pounds from this. So, I mean, who knows?
He's lying, too. I'm going Golden Tate, speaking of liars.
Oh.
Golden Tate.
Him
and Odell, a couple of liars. I'm going Golden Tate. I think he's best player available. And then, honestly, I'm part of the nation. I'm a member. And I'm just going to ride this. I'm going Alfred Morris. I think Andy Isabella would be a better pick. Hell, I think Dan Arnold would be a better pick.
Yeah.
But I'm trusting. I'm going Alfred Morris. I'm going Alfred Morris with this pick. I'm Alfredite Nation.
I mean, I would have taken him.
More yards per carry than Gallman.
Shut up. I would have taken him if he swung back around. But, I mean, Justin's logic did make sense this week. Who knows how much carries Morris will really get, because if Jones is back, they're going to be able to pass it now because they couldn't do that last week. Safe pick. He'll probably give you some points. I mean, last time I picked him, he gave me 0.6 of a point. So I'm kind of off that Orton Morris right now.
Justin?
I still have one more pick. So Dan Arnold is my pick. Caught two passes last week for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
no one's taking my guy, Max Williams. I love Max Williams.
No, he's done nothing this year. He's done
I know,
nothing.
but I like him. He's a really good blocker. I remember one play the Ravens lined him up at guard, and he caught a pass from the guard spot.
Oh, well, he was on the Ravens, and now he's on the Cardinals. And so that theory that you had at the beginning of the show is correct, that the Cardinals are trying to become the Ravens.
Danny, finish it off.
This is just scraping the bottom of the barrel at this point. Screw it. I'll take Andy Isabella.
Was Isabella one of those guys in the draft where you're like, this guy's going to be really good?
Yeah, it's like one of those times where you're like, why not?
Everybody was like, Andy Isabella is going to be that guy, which I still think he's pretty good.
He's projected to give me 2 points.
Danny, check on your microphone on Zoom.
All right, so the teams we have, I have DeAndre Hopkins, Christian Kirk, Golden Tate, and Alfred Morris. Justin has Wayne Gallman, Evan Ingram, Kenyon Drake, and Dan Arnold. And Danny has Sterling Shepard, Chase Edmonds, Darius Slayton, and Andy Isabella. It's time for Giant Factors.
Woo!
Danny, you have the first pick this week.
So my Giant Factor this week, you guys talked about Kyler Murray being injured and all that, or at least seeming to be injured. Who knows what he's really dealing with. This week, I'm taking Jabril Peppers as my Giants factor, because this week, this is the Giants. I see they can use Jabril Peppers as that guy to mess with Kyler Murray's mind. You bring Jabril Peppers down the box. Is he going to be spying on you? Is he going to be rushing you? Or is he dropping back into coverage? You won't know. Jabril Peppers could mess with Kyler Murray's mind. He's having a good year, but he's on the slow down, and he's only his second year. This week, Patrick Grant can really get inside that mind of his, mess with it. Jabril Peppers has played in the box. He's playing coverage. You just don't know what they're going to do with Jabril Peppers. So give me Jabril Peppers this week as my Giants factor.
Right on. I love it. Jabril Peppers has been one of the playmakers and impact players on this defense. I love it. Bobby, am I up?
Yep, you're up.
I'm up. All right. So Blake Martinez kind of has an injury designation going into the game. Looks like he is going to play. He has back injury. I feel like he's been struggling with injuries through the entire year, but he just hasn't missed a game. He's missed some plays, but he's been a warrior and he's come right back in. There is not a game where we need Blake Martinez more, in my opinion, than this one. We need him every game. He's the captain of the defense. He's calling plays. He's a play caller on that defense, but not a game that we need him more because of the dynamic rushing offense that the Cardinals have. They're not the outside zone scheme like they were last year, but Blake Martinez is still super, super important. If we want to be playing our linebackers a little further back, Martinez needs to be the guy that makes up space. And he needs to be the guy that cleans up from our defensive line. Our defensive line, we know they're going to do a good job filling their gaps. Somebody needs to be there to step up, take good angles, and be a tackler and a playmaker in the run game. Blake Martinez has been that guy. He's my Giant factor. Hope he plays. Without him, it's going to be bad. I don't feel confident.
Didn't talk about that enough. Yeah. He is such a huge – there was like a game on – well, no, the 49ers. There was a game on the schedule where we need Blake Martinez. This was the game. Was this game? We need him big time. I was very close to making him my Giant factor, yeah. So I'm glad you did.
If we lose him, we're screwed. It's as simple as that.
And it's not like it on different weeks. I would be like, we're even like Seattle last week, where it's like, they're not trying to run a ton. Although Blake Martinez did have a big play in coverage on that fourth down. Blake Martinez is very huge, and we didn't really talk about that. So glad you used it as a Giant factor. My Giant factor this week is a guy who's been zero factor the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks he's had one touch. It was one catch. It was a big catch, but it was one. He's facing up against Patrick Peterson, who's a really damn good corner. Darius Slayton, man, I don't know if you're injured. I don't know what's going on with you, but we need you. We need you for downfield shots. We need you to work the intermediate game. You make this offense better when you are on and clicking. And Daniel Jones needs you. Daniel Jones, like I said, we don't expect him to run around a ton. If he's going to want to make some big plays over the middle, it's going to have to be to you, man. It's going to have to be to you. Whether it's a go ball, whether it's a 20-yard dig, we need you to be able to make some plays, Darius Slayton. We need you, man. We can't have you having one catch for 14 yards in 2 weeks. Can't have it. You can't have you dropping 60-yard passes. Can't have it, Darius. I know you're probably dealing with some type of injury. It seems like you are. But if you're going to play, we freaking need you, man. And we need to get something over on Patrick Peterson. So Darius Slayton is my giant factor for this matchup.
When it was that Washington game when he kind of jerked his foot in as he scored that touchdown. That was the play where it felt like Darius Slayton just wasn't right after that. He wasn't right in any game, and he still isn't. So he's dealing with something. It's just a question of what is it. As Justin updates his fantasy lineup.
No,
I didn't make the playoffs in any of my leagues, so I'm good.
No, I'm not updating I'm done with fantasy. I'm so checked out.
I'm winning the Patreon league.
I'm so checked out.
Simple. I'm gonna crush Chris Mickles' dreams
if you win
this
it,
week.
You're not getting paid.
Wow, I'm gonna cry myself to sleep.
I'll pay you.
I'm gonna just know
but you're not going to get the $100 prize. You're just going to get what people paid in for.
That's fine. Just know I will have a belt on my shoulder that when I win.
No, because you want to know who. There's another person with a belt on their shoulder, and we just can't be associated with that person.
Who?
I can't say it because I don't want to give him his attention. Someone who hates us. A newfound someone who hates us, Justin.
Is this another YouTuber?
Yes. All right, let's move on.
Irrelevant.
Yes, irrelevant.
Sorry.
No, you can have your belt, Danny.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even know. Half the people don't even know who that is.
Danny, you can have your freaking belt. All right, quick picks. Let's make them quick this week, guys. I am still in first place. I went 5-3 last week. Everybody else went 4-4.
Boom.
So I am at 65-38. The listeners are at 62-41. 6 games back. Justin, you are at 58-45. Danny, you are 54-49. Pat's at Rams Thursday Night Football. Listeners represented by who was the name of the guy who? It was a bland name. I think it was Stephen Brown.
Bad guy move.
Steve Brown.
Steve Brown. It was Steve Brown. Yep, I knew it was a bland name. No offense, Steve Brown.
Wow.
He's representing the listeners this week. He picked the Patriots at Rams. I'm going Patriots as well. Bill Belichick is an alpha male over beta Sean McVay. He owns him. I'm going Patriots. The Patriots are back.
Patriots are back. Give me the Rams. Patriots are not back.
Danny?
I'm going to give you the short history on the Rams. No, I'm taking the Rams as well.
Chiefs at Dolphins. Listeners went Chiefs. This is my upset city pick this week.
Wow.
Upset city. I'm going the Dolphins, dude. I believe in the Dolphins. I believe in Brian Forrest. I think they're going to have something for the Chiefs. This is going to be a week where the Chiefs lose. They're not going to go 15-1. They will probably go 14-2. One of the games they will lose will be to Brian Flores and my Miami Dolphins. Dolphins winning. Danny, who do you got?
Something tells me the Dolphins are going to win. I'm on your side this week. Give me the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, you told me.
Typically, when you guys pick two teams and I want to pick the other, I've been wrong. But I just don't think Tua can keep up. I don't think Tua can keep up with the Chiefs offense. I think there have been a lot of good defenses that have thrown some good things at Patrick Mahomes, but he's still been able to overcome it this year. Give me the Chiefs.
Vikings at Bucks. Listeners went Bucks. Justin, who do you got?
I'm going Vikings. You want to know who leads the league? You want to know who leads the league in completion percentage over expected? Who's been the most accurate quarterback in the National Football League? Granted, he has a very limited attempts probably. It's been Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins overtook Russell Wilson as the number one most accurate quarterback in the National Football League this year. 2020.
Remember when Sam Bradford set the record for completion percentage for the Vikings? Same situation.
Kirk Cousins. It's different.
Stinks.
Like I said, that singing video, I was never picking the Vikings again, even though I believed I picked them literally that next week. I'm taking the Bucks to win it, though.
Bucks, baby. Texans at Bears. Listeners went Texans. I said I was off the Bears train. I'm very tempted to get back on the Bears train. but I can't do it. I'm off on the Bears. I am going Texans.
Can the
Danny?
Texans? Oh, sorry, Danny. Go ahead, Danny.
Revenge game, Deshaun Watson.
Oh,
Texans win.
that's true. Tough for Mitchell Trubisky. Can the Texans make the playoffs? Is there a chance that
No.
happens?
I don't think so.
The AFC wild card's too good.
Okay, because there was chatter of that happening. Give me the Texans. I think they feel like they have something to prove.
Texans.
If they were in the NFC, they would have a shot. Literally everyone in the NFC has a shot to make the playoffs.
If the Texans were in the NFC East, they'd be the same record as the Giants. Shut up. Shut up.
Colts at Raiders. Listeners went Colts. I'm going Colts too. I'm a Colts believer. This was like the one game that probably shouldn't have been on here. I'm going Colts.
Justin. Okay. I'm going Raiders. I feel like the Raiders are a very hot and cold team. They're going to be hot this week.
When you get blown out by the Atlanta Falcons and lose to the Jets because Greg Williams doesn't know how to call defensive plays, apparently, in a final play situation, I can't take the Raiders. Give me the Colts.
That's the win the Raiders needed to get back on track.
This was the team that broke Derek Carr's leg, the Colts.
Revenge game.
Yeah, revenge. It's a revenge week.
game.
It's a revenge week. Speaking of revenge week, Kyle Shanahan going up against Washington. How about that? Revenge
Screw
week.
him.
Alex Smith going up against San Fran. This is actually a revenge game. Who is going to get revenge? The listeners went Washington. Come on, Steve Brown. You got to be for us. You can't be against us.
No.
Go on Niners. Kyle Shanahan refuses to lose. Alex Smith is a wimp. He's a loser. He's a check down Charlie. I'm going 49ers. Justin, who you got?
And we'll never not pick a team that's playing against the NFC East. Kyle Shanahan for the win.
Daniel?
I mean, I'm just going to say, I picked Washington to win last week. I mean,
Yeah,
many
you also
people
went
aren't.
4-4, so I mean,
yeah, that's great. But I picked I believed in Washington. I don't know why I did. I hate myself for it. Give me the 49ers this week. I don't want Washington winning anymore. That's supposed to be like a joke of a pick, and then they're like, oh, okay, well, go do it now.
Steelers at Bills. The listeners went Steelers. The Steelers are now 11-1, and the whole world is going, see, they lost the game. They didn't go undefeated. They're really not that good.
They played 14 games in they played 14 games in 3 days. They played 3 games in 14 days.
They lost. They've lost one. They still have the best record in the NFL. See, Steelers.
Who do you sound like right now? Oh boy, oh, you sound like a character.
All right, who do you guys got?
Bills are gonna win.
Nobody. I don't know what just happened, but nobody. I'm going to keep saying it like nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. In their own stadium, Sunday Night Football? Give me freaking Buffalo.
I can't wait to edit all of that on the podcast app, so I have to reduce the volume by so much. Can't wait to edit that. Again, can't wait. Ravens Browns. I'll do the final one. Ravens Browns. Probably somewhat of the game of the week, right? Lamar Jackson. The Browns are hot. The Browns are back. Bobby, who you going with?
The Sunday Night Flex brought back all the Baker Mayfield hate for me.
Okay.
And some dumb Browns fan commenting on the channel like, those were taken out of context. That's why I sound like a Browns fan. They took them out of context. They took those quotes out of context. No, they didn't. Shut up. I hate Baker Mayfield. It's back. The hate is back. I thought the hate was gone. Odell probably brought it back a little bit. I'm going the Ravens.
Thanks, Odell.
Listeners went Browns.
I think I'm also going to go Browns.
I went Ravens.
I heard. Thank you.
Next Sunday night will be set up to be the best game of the year. So much on the line. The Cleveland Browns will win it on Monday night. Monday night, not Sunday night. Monday night. Take that out of context.
We're done.
No, we're not.
You not know your own show?
Danny, what's your score prediction for Giants hosting the Arizona Cardinals?
The Giants hosting the Arizona Cardinals. I sat through some crap weather last year watching this team lose. Watching Saquon do jack nothing. The Giants getting a block punt. That was fun. Giants will win it.
Elijah Penny.
Elijah Penny, freaking beast. Not gonna mention anything else about Elijah Penny, but Giants win it this week. They win it. I'm gonna go 23-14.
Wow.
Justin?
24-20. Giants win. Question mark.
Say it with your chest. Giants win.
I can't say it with my chest this week. Can't say it with my chest this week.
You know who can't say it with their chest? It's Kyler Murray because he's a midget.
Oh, wow.
And we don't lose the midgets.
Okay.
Giants are going to win big. We're the most relevant team in the NFL right now. We just got flexed this Sunday Night Football over the Dallas Cowboys and the 49ers. We got flex over the Dallas Cowboys. Giants 77, Cardinals 0. Let's go Giants. And appreciate you guys. Leave a rating review. We're trying to overtake first place. We'll see you guys on Monday for a Victory Monday. Another Victory Monday with Stacking Wins. Get the t-shirt, Stacking Wins. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you. Let's go Big Blue.